have that stepping process where I want to achieve this, and you just do systematic steps to get there, whether it's a distance run, distance race, or it could just be your first race. It could be your first 5K, if you will. It's addictive. Setting goals that you achieve becomes an addictive sport.
Welcome to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg.
We are live in Laguna Beach, California at the Ben Reinberg's I Own It studios today, and we just keep rolling out great guests. Another entrepreneur and businessman coming on shortly. And I'm really excited today because we get to talk to the most interesting people around the world, and today is no different. Mitch Thrower, welcome to the show. You own it. That's why we wanted you on the show. And what a privilege. It's great to see you, and thank you for joining us today.
Ben, great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. So you have a motto that I love. It's called Entrepreneurship is an Endurance Sport, which I think is an interesting connective thread to describe your professional career and your hobbies. So let's kick things off. Share more about how you developed this mindset around endurance in business.
So I've been involved in endurance athletics as a chapter of my career. Prior to that, I was involved in just pure tech and then athletics, and prior to that, kind of technology. So I started, we're going back to the Jurassic period. I started in kind of the engineering and tech space and fell in love with it. Then ended up falling in love with the sport of lacrosse, and then I fractured both my knees through a series of incidents, and ultimately had 2 knee surgeries on each leg. So I had kind of that Forrest Gump moment, if you will, of athletics, and was able to get surgical repair on my knees and have that run Forrest run moment. This was kind of a run Mitch run, and I ended up in recovery from the surgeries, falling in love with the sport of triathlon, and as a part of that passion, ended up doing a leveraged buyout of Triathlete magazine with some wonderful people I met in the space, and that sort of was maybe the first marble in the kind of the jar of becoming an entrepreneur that really was focused on endurance, and ended up, going down to Ironman a bunch of times. But for the most part, there are so many parallels between the things I've experienced in the various entrepreneurial endeavors I've been involved in, both as a founder or as an investor. But you just see it, there's a theme, right? You just have to keep going. And, there's a real focus on kind of tenacity.
And how's this mindset helped you throughout the years?
Well, most recently, it would probably be with, being in the event industry with events.com, which is a company I've co-founded when the pandemic came around. So that's probably the most recent assistance where, you have a situation where the government effectively makes your business illegal, similar to prohibition, right? If you owned a bar during prohibition, because, you didn't know if it would ever open up again. In our case, in 2020, what would happen? So, do you keep going? Do you change course? Do you change your strategy? And, we ended up changing our strategy quite a bit, but we kept going and stayed dedicated and focused. And that helped a lot. That helped so much with positioning ourselves for the recovery.
You have one other model that I really like. The fountain of youth is movement. Does that just mean you need to keep moving in order to keep your body in shape and feel young? Or does it seem something a little bit more to you?
I think it's much more. It's not just your body, it's your mind. It's what you're learning. It's what you're focused on. And anything in life you have consistently and repetitively, you tend to take for granted. And that could be your career, that could be your relationships, and movement inside. I'm not saying move people. That's not what it really is intended. But the fountain of youth being movement is just staying alive. And of course, at its core, it's all of the physiological impacts that your body has from moving, and the difference between sitting and standing, and all the statistics that have come out about, how sitting is the new smoking. Moving is something that changes your physiology, but also your psychology. And the psychology of movement is whether it's, even looking up from a computer to another area to give your eyes focus, to give you a break, whether it's moving during your day through different tasks at different sections. But it's it's something that the human mind is designed. Like one of the problems is I can't possibly talk as fast as your mind can process. Your mind processes at a much faster rate. That's why people get bored when they read. Like they read something, but your brain is processing so much faster. So your mind says, "Oh, you're going to read that that slow motor skill input thing. I'm just going to go in the back and take care of a few things while you're doing that up front." And so, people get distracted. And so really it's realizing what an incredible supercomputer you have and moving it in the direction you want it to go. Because if you let it sit in one place, it will get old, basically.
It's like the saying where the energy goes, the commitment flows, or where the commitment goes, the energy flows, so to speak. So it's kind of a similar concept. You started events.com nearly 14 years ago. What inspired you to start this business, and how did you get insight that alternative products at the time were not being delivered to customers what they really wanted out there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So going back in my career, prior to events.com, I had kind of a parallel career course. On one hand, I had completed a leveraged buyout of Triathlete magazine, which we then sold to a group called Competitor Group, backed by a mid-tier private equity firm in New York, and was involved in the sport from both an athlete side and a management of the publication side.
Mm-hmm.
And had gotten very frustrated registering for athletic events. So I co-founded a company called Active.com before Events.com that migrated a number of the athletic registrations globally online. That company, we sold it to Vista after we went public, was one of the first unicorns before unicorns were sort of dubbed unicorns. And in that process, I had really realized over time, you kind of see the world of events and event software fragment. So if you're an event organizer and let's say you've got, the Ben Festival or Ben Fest, you're using up to 15 different technologies to manage your event. You'll use one for ticketing, one for sponsorship, but it's probably somebody in the corner with a spreadsheet who's good with people, who's going to get recruited away. You've got another technology over here for marketing, but it doesn't always talk to your registration. Then you have an app for check-in. Then you have an app to invite people to your event, and so on and so on. So event organizers got this enormously fragmented world of technology solutions, siloed, that don't play well together. And what we, really decided to do, and the business actually started as kind of an incubator several years ago. And then my business partner, co-founder, Stephen, who hails from Ottawa, Canada. In fact, he moved his family down. We still have an office in Ottawa as well as San Diego and a host of other locations. But we started talking about what would it really look like to do technology in the event sector the right way. And ultimately, he had this idea for the name called events.com. And he said, but it's owned by CBS, so that could be a problem. And we basically decided, let's go get it. Let's get the name from CBS, because he had sort of built and managed up a company that was like the Active.com of Canada. And in our case, to then create a new solution, which wasn't just ticketing, but it was ticketing and marketing and analytics and all the things that event organizers need that they're getting served piecemeal through disparate systems that don't play nicely together. It really became a great opportunity for us. So I know I went a little deeper than maybe you'd intended, but that was the genesis of what brought us to the events.com story.
It's a great point. And what strategies do you use to grow events.com user base? I mean, do you do a lot of marketing, much sales? As it's grown to be the portal for millions of events per year, and our audience doesn't know the power of this company, how do you do it to grow your user base?
So for us, we're growing organically right now. And I say that because in the world that we're living in for events.com, we haven't yet gone to market. We wanted to go to market through acquisitions as well as organically. And so we're just now starting to promote events.com, because great software services for events, really, it's kind of like a great apartment building. You want to build something people want to live in. And in our case, the events that use our system are telling their friends about it, and they're telling their friends. And so we're growing organically significantly now. In fact, by the time I finish this sentence, somewhere, someplace, people just signed up to use one of our services or registered for an event somewhere around the world. And that feels great. We also want to scale, right? In 2020, you have this existential problem, which is what will happen to the industry and to events in general.
Right.
And in 21 and 22 and even 23, we went on the acquisition path. And so we've acquired several companies, many of which we've announced, some that we haven't, to help us scale and grow, because there was never a better time to be acquiring in the event sector than now. And of course, helping those organizations through the challenges that they had during the pandemic and post-pandemic, and really get that all buttoned up as a part of our purchase. And so that for us is acquisitive growth, organic growth, and then launching the marketing and go-to-market campaign growth, which will really hit kind of 2024 is when we plan to kind of unveil many of the new things. There'll be mini unveilings before that, but that's our plan in terms of going to market. We work with a great firm in San Francisco, probably one of the best branding and go-to-market preparation firms, called West, which is a great firm that they did some things for Twitter and Braintree. Impossible Burger, which I'm sure you're familiar with, which is the burger that's not really meat, but it tastes like meat.
I love Impossible Burgers. I can, you get good condiments, I could always rock one. So
I know, right?
There's something about it. I just love it. And people make fresh ones now and do different things. So what kind of events do you like to go to? I mean, are you a concert guy, a sports guy? What do you enjoy going to in these events?
I cannot say. I mean, I have never found an event that I have not enjoyed. I love events. You know, events are the most meaningful moments in our lives, are events. Whether it's something as close and intimate as weddings, although we're not really in the wedding space, or if it's something that is your concert or your comedy show or your charity gala, or it could be something for your church, synagogue, temple. It could be a museum event. The things we remember are things that are different. It almost goes back to that, Fountain of Youth movement. We tend to remember things that are new in our lives. And we also tend to remember interacting with other people, because interacting with other people is really, that's the most fundamental human need, is to connect with other human beings. And so when you're in this business, and it's an enormously enjoyable business to be in, because when you're in the event space, you're in a space where people are happy.
Yeah.
And that's something that not every business enjoys. And so, I mean, whether it's, the International Conference on Negotiating with Aliens when they land on Earth, or the Rise Festival, which is this beautiful event, which is lanterns that you light up in the desert out in Las Vegas, and they go up in the sky and they have amazing music. It's one of the greatest events out there. Or the Wonderfront Festival, which happens in San Diego, which is right there on the waterfront, and bands and stages and a festival atmosphere right along the waterfront. And it really could be anything. And I think for everyone, it's something different. Many of the friends I have in my life, I met at events. Mm-hmm. Many of the investors that I work with on a consistent basis, I've met at events. It really is getting back out there. And I don't think we really realized it until it was taken away from us, just what a key part of our lives was getting together with others.
So we had James Iron Cowboy Lawrence on the show a while back. And obviously, I'm sure you know who he is, because you guys have played in the same space. You guys are both incredible. I mean, it's just, you do one that's incredible. You've done 20. I want everyone to hear this. Mitch has done 22 Ironman. Okay. Which race locations? So when I was talking to James, he was talking about, all the 50 states, 50 states he's done his races in, et cetera, and the different locations he set up. Which race locations have been your favorite that you do out of these 22?
Oh boy. I've always loved the Ironman distance triathlon. And, I look back and I say 22, how is that possible? I guess there was a lot of Groundhog Days in there, but it is, and I was in the industry. So, I was involved in Triathlete Magazine and Active and now events.com. So we're touching triathlons, we're touching events. But the one I've loved the most was always the Hawaiian Ironman World Championships. That is just such an amazing experience there to be on the island and, run in the lava fields, which looks like a burnt brownie if you've been to, for the folks that have been to Kona, Hawaii.
I have. It's beautiful.
And you go out there, and I think there's a bond that forms specific to the things we do in life, right? The foundation of all human experience, the foundation of all human relationships is common experience. And when you have a common experience where you're setting yourself up to be challenged and do something that's difficult, albeit at one time thought impossible, but not impossible, and you're doing that with other people who've made that same decision, it's a camaraderie of, hey, we're in this together. And someone is going through that same challenge because, when the gun goes off, you're all on the lava. And you're in the sun, and it could be anywhere. It could be an Ironman or a triathlon, anywhere in life. You're doing something with other people that bring you together. And it gives you that common bond. So for me, it's always been Kona. That's just a magical place. That Hawaii is a magical, wonderful, spiritual. It's a spectacular place. And what a great place to meet people. It's kind of the new golf, if you will, right? You get out there with all these people who are, by self-definition, obsessive compulsive, right? I'm obsessive compulsive on a run, swim, and bike really far. But they also, that translates into their careers. And in their careers, they apply that same level of dedication and focus and commitment and desire for success. And that's why, many of the people I met in that industry became friends, partners, investors, all kinds of great relationships that were forged in the oven of the Ironman, if you will.
It's so interesting you said that, because life and business is all about commitment and focus. And the tools that you establish when you are doing an Ironman, that is the foundation: focus and commitment, persistence, all the valuable tools that create success and wealth and business is having that mindset. And that's what's so amazing about it. What attracts you to endurance competitions? I mean, it's a lot of prep time. It's tough on your body. You brought up the Hawaiian Ironman. I couldn't even imagine what it's like to swim in that water with hundreds of people kicking you.
Human blender.
Yep, the human blender. So what attracts you to endurance competitions?
Because it got worse over the years.
Yeah.
So it started out, I guess my first Ironman was 1994.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, it got more and more and more aggressive as people were, diving in on something pretty interesting. But for me, I love a challenge. I love to run, bike, and swim. It's kind of my temple, if you will, is to get to a place where you can meditate. A lot of people do yoga, and going out for a super long bike ride where your cell phone is put away and your heart is beating and you're breathing and you're looking at things, or if you're in a long ocean swim. I'm fortunate to my home is in La Jolla, California. So most of the year you can also do ocean swimming, as you know, as a Californian.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, there's something really, really wonderful about how you feel psychologically after you push yourself athletically, and not to the extent of exhaustion, but to, have that stepping process where I want to achieve this, and you just do systematic steps to get there, whether it's a distance run, distance race, or it could just be your first race. It could be your first 5K, if you will. It's a sense of goal. It's addictive. Setting goals that you achieve becomes an addictive sport.
Yeah, that's so well said. Are there other kind of races or competitions you like besides the Ironman?
Yeah, I did a Waikiki rough water swim, which I enjoyed so much. And, that was just a straight open water swim.
That just sounds wonderful.
Oh, it's beautiful. It sounds rough, but actually this one was a little rough.
Uh-huh.
But, you leave from Kaimana Beach in Hawaii. You swim out past the water, which is a little bit more murky. Not murky, it's a little more cloudy. and then you end up off of the Waikiki shore,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes and it gets crystal blue and clear.
Mm-hmm.
And then you swim for a while. In this case, the 1 year I did it, I did it with my wife. It was, really rough tides. There was a few times when we were swimming and just not going anywhere. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, where you're swimming,
Yep.
but you don't actually go anywhere.
Right.
And in this case, when we both came out of that, it was it's a gorgeous, gorgeous place. Of course, I keep talking about Hawaii, but anything that people do, whether it's a paddling race or if it's just a long walk or long hikes, those are things where you're outside and physical, because we're trapped here, right? I mean, this is our life. We're like all trapped right here all the time. That's a trap I don't want to live in. I don't want to live in this hunched over, my back's getting thing. I want to go out and experience what it's like to be alive.
That's phenomenal. I mean, it's definitely the way you gotta live life. I agree with you. So I am a man who works out, and I'm big into health and fitness. I have a trainer I work out with, and he pushes this 53-year-old young body of mine. What is your typical workout routine? What do you do, and how does it change for preparing a race versus when you're not?
So one thing in particular, as a triathlete, I would never do, although a lot of other triathletes do, is I'd never do a brick workout where I would bike and then run, because myself and so many others ended up with IT band injuries when you would bike and then run. So I flipped it, and then I would only ever run and then bike, because your IT band is pulling at the insertion, because it needs to be loose when you're running, but when you're biking, it gets tight. So you're going to pull your IT band if you do a lot of brick workouts. And for me now, my workout will consist of swimming. I love to swim. I'll love to do, kind of an outdoor gym workout with push-ups and sit-ups, or, different motions. We have kids, so sometimes, albeit they won't know it, I'll lift them up a bunch of times, and that's actually a workout. Because as you have kids, if you lift them or make them fly, both of my kids, one is 6, one is just over 1, love to fly. And so I'll, sing the Superman theme, and I'll hold them up in my arms like this, and I'll fly them around the house, fly them around. Of course, I'll check everything first, because you have to make sure there's no Legos that are going to crush your foot.
Right.
Or that are going to make you trip. But that's a really fun workout, is flying your kids around the house, getting tired, putting one down, taking a break, grabbing them, doing another one, flying them around, and they love it. But it's true. I yearn to swim, but there's less time when you're involved in a company like events.com to do such long workouts. So I think I'm really focused on getting as much efficiency as I can in my workout schedule now.
So I wanted to ask you this: what are self-care things you do to maintain the fountain of youth? Like, is it nutrition? Do you get enough sleep? What are some of your secrets you do?
Yeah, I'm a big sleep person. I think for those people out there that are following the immortals and looking for people to give them their tips, I mean, here are some of the things I do, which I've found to be very effective. A great nutrition regime, maybe 80-20 or 90-10, right? Like 80% of the time, super healthy, 10 or 20%. So it's 80-10, 80-10, 80-20 or 90-10. And then the balance is, you just got to relax, because you cannot avoid eating crazy things every now and then.
Right.
And on top of that, something that I do, which probably a lot of people don't do, and it's become more of a, I'd say, popular thing, is I get crazy about air quality. And air quality, you've seen that, if people are smoking, or if they've smoked, it tends to age your cells and your body more significantly. So the skin of someone who smokes ages faster. The lungs of someone, the body of someone who smokes ages faster. There's an aging that happens from the smoke. Now, if you reverse that and you say, every single day we are inhaling a significant amount of pollution, even in the beautiful, clean quality air of an oceanside community in San Diego or in San Francisco, you're still going inside, and you're got your towels and your curtains and your kids and you're cooking. So what I've done in our house is we have a very sophisticated series of air filtration devices, and in particular one when I sleep. And I've had that since college. So ever since college, again, back in the Jurassic period, we had focused on, air quality. I just have slept with either a negative ion machine that cleans the air or a HEPA air filter, which cleans the air. And I've done some research on it. It really does impact aging. Clean air, especially at night when your lungs are cleaning themselves from all the stuff they've inhaled during the day, it gives them a chance to recover, to cleanse, to clear out what it's trying to clear out. Because if you're not, and you don't put yourself in a HEPA quality sleep experience, then it's just a consistent battle on your cells. And I found that to be really, really impactful. You get sick less often. When you do get sick, you get better faster. You tend to wake up healthier. It helps your sleep quality, etc. So that's maybe a short hack or a tip for people is you can buy great HEPA filters online. The Mac Daddy or Mac Mommy, I don't know what we'd call it, but the best one out there is an IQ Air device. Not an inexpensive device, but that's the one that's used in like hospitals, and it can even filter out gas and particulate matter, etc. So that's one tip. Maybe one other tip for youth, obviously, is sleep, nutrition, air filtration, exercise, and the other one, which we probably haven't discussed, is I'm a big fan of this product put out by a nutrition company called Basis. And I don't know if you've seen that. I'm not paid by these guys at all. Basic Nutrition, I don't know what it's called. Here, I can check. By Elysium Health. So okay. Elysium Health puts out a product called Basis. And when I did the research on it, it seemed really, really impactful. And the people I've talked to in the medical community seem to be in favor of it as well. So it's NADs and some, I think in the next, there was something recently that said we're going to, I think it was a Google person at Google or something who recently said that within the next 8 to 10 years, we will be able to achieve immortality, which I thought was a bold prediction.
Hey, I'm all for that. I plan on living, Mitch, to 150 years old. So
there we go.
Bring it on.
Yeah, check out Basis. I'm a big fan. I really think that there's some science behind it.
That sounds great. So you're involved with a number of philanthropic initiatives. And I was hoping we could talk a little bit more about Project Active. How did it start, its mission, and also how could others get involved in Project Active?
Yeah, Project Active is our family foundation. It's part of La Jolla Foundation. It has been put into a stasis mode while we are pursuing our events.com endeavor. However, it has done some wonderful things in the past. We had a mission to raise capital and then deploy that capital to distribute athletic equipment in areas of world tension. So wherever there were bullets flying, we would provide soccer balls. And we would provide, in some cases, also an indestructible soccer ball, because you think about people playing soccer, but then you also think about the fact that they may have a soccer ball, but if they don't have a pump, they can't pump it up.
Exactly.
And in some of these places, they use a string wrapped around garbage to play soccer. So our mission was really to do that. We put a basketball hoop up in some areas. We put some cleaned up athletic fields, and we've also supported children in places where they'll get pulled out of school because they don't have the capital to afford their education, but they are effectively sort of Einstein level smart, which I think is just very difficult because there are so many people that don't have access to education. So helping education, mentoring, money, equipment in the war zone regions is something we've really been focused on in the past. It is on stasis now as we move through the events.com chapter because there is a lot of work to be done, and it's a passion project for us to get the event sector complete and help event organizers in the world, in particular now in the years following a pandemic, help them all not only get back on their feet, but help all those companies we acquired recover, get everything put back together, and then create some form of a shareholder liquidity event someday in the future as well.
So I don't believe you talk too much about your personal investing philosophy. I am in commercial real estate. I've been in commercial real estate a little under 30 years, strictly as a principal. Is there anything you feel comfortable sharing about? I mean, how do you build your wealth, Do you ever invest in real estate at all? What do you do?
Yeah, so I have invested in real estate. Anything that's opportunistic and off market is something that that seems appropriate based on the number of people playing in the real estate game. I also think, there's a wonderful group that I've worked with out of Chicago called Bradley Associates, Bradley & Co.
Yeah, I know them well.
Yeah, they've done a really good job putting together some fun packages, and there isn't a single party I've met there that isn't happy. But for me, my personal investment philosophy is I try and find areas where you can garner outsized returns as a result of either not many people knowing about it or it not being accessible. And that's, those are hard to find. Of course, they're hard to find, but that's what we really, at least for my family and our family office, that's what we focus on, is trying to identify things that are not, I guess you'd say, just not in the normal bidding process for many of the investments that are out there. And I like, following Buffett's philosophy, I think that the best and fastest way to personal wealth is to own businesses.
I agree. So we are all works in progress, and the name of the show is I Own It. Was there a recent example that you can go back and look at and say, I didn't own it fully?
Yeah, the last part of it, a recent example that
you didn't own it. So owning it is being responsible for every aspect in your life. Was there a recent example where you did not own it?
Oh, completely. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's something I think one of the great things about being an entrepreneur is you get to a place in your career where you realize that the mistakes that you make and the criticisms that you're given are sometimes better gifts than the successes that you have and the compliments that you get. Because compliments you can't really do anything with.
That's right.
A criticism, correct or not, is a gift wrapped up in kind of a bad tasting bow.
That's right.
But once you unwrap it and start to analyze it and say, you need to do this now. But let's see, recent examples that I can publicly disclose that are not proprietary. That's going to be tougher. Okay, I'm running through a list, but I'm trying to come up with ones I can share publicly, right? So maybe non-company related. Things that I would say, I didn't own it and I should have. I mean, on a daily basis or on maybe a weekly basis, it's probably in the scheduling world, right? You want to give yourself a schedule that not only achieves your dreams, but also you can be excited about every single day. When you wake up, you're given the chance to set your schedule.
That's right.
And there may be some things that creep onto it, but I have, I own the fact that my schedule is not as exciting as I think I can make it. And my, I'd say, responsibility to it of, setting that schedule is critical. And it's hard. That's one of the hardest things in the world is, the most powerful language you have for yourself internally is what you should and should not be doing in any given moment. And, saying no to more of the things that you cannot and should not be focused on, and saying yes to more of the things that you should, I think is definitely an area where we can all probably battle it daily to own that in a better way.
Yeah, I mean, it's well said. One thing you said, which I think is really important that I won't ever want to hear is that even if someone's criticizing, no matter what your interaction with someone is, they are contributing to your life. Yeah. Criticism is great. Believe me, I get it from my employees and I love it. I have one person specifically that works for me, and she calls me out on my shit, and I'm okay with that. You know why? Because I realize she's contributing to me. I might, like you said, it's kind of a distasteful bow it's wrapped in at times, but it's out of love and respect, and it's to make sure I improve as a person and a businessman, and the company does as well. And I took a step back when it first started happening. I was get a little triggered by it. And then I realized, I woke up, I said, you know what, this is a gift. He's giving me a gift by calling me out of the things I need to work on. And she's doing it in a way that, because she does it, because she says, hey, let me hold up the mirror to you and show you what we can work on. And now I'm grateful for it. It's a wonderful.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And to touch on your point is time. All we have is time. And so you have to be very mindful of time. I think it's a tough thing. You don't get back time, and you can make all the money in the world, but you'll never be able to make up more time in life. And so it's a wonderful thing you said. And Mitch Thrower, I mean, so talented and so knowledgeable. And let's wrap up now with our 3 questions. I'm excited to hear your answers. So in Laguna Beach, in our studio, we have a couch. And I said, Mitch, and by the way, you being so close to us, you are always welcome to come in studio. It would be a blast to have you in studio and have a chat with you. So you're laying on the couch, and I said, okay, how old are you now, by the way?
Born in January. Let's see if you can do the quick math. January in 1968.
You are 55.
Bingo.
Nice. I'm 53. So we're about the same age. And so as a sophisticated, handsome, intelligent young man you are today at 55, if you can go back and speak to yourself when you were 16 years old, what advice are you giving yourself now that you have all this knowledge and experience that you could share?
At 16, that's always been a tough question for me, because some of the advice I would give that 16-year-old would avoid problems that I would run into, which I think were better lessons. And when you're 16, if you're told not to do something, even if that person is right, you resist, right? Because you want to go out and learn it yourself. So kind of time travel notwithstanding, some of the things I'd like to know earlier is, it's beyond, wear sunscreen, buy Apple stock, kind of Back to the Future type stuff. It's more along the lines of what skill sets I would need earlier. And it really wasn't until college that I started to really dive in on communication skills, life skills, investment skills. And I think that the compound power of learning when you're really young, when you're in your teens and you learn some things that people learn in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and even 50s, the compound effect of understanding investments and understanding insurance and understanding, what is actually happening next, right? There's a lot of, the world is changing right now. If anyone read Bill Gates' letter about, the artificial intelligence world, I mean, we are right in the middle right now of a change as big as the internet coming online. And that's really AI coming online in multiple fronts. And what are those things to pay attention to earlier, I think are, it's kind of a guidepost. It's like if I was going to prescribe something to my 16-year-old self, it would be a series of courses. And maybe the biggest tip that I would share with people is this. There is a set of superpowers that almost everyone doesn't use. And it could be as simple as being trained in how to use Microsoft Excel, which everyone has access to, but people only know how to use like 10% of it. Or it could be certified to use Google Suite. Like there used to be something called G Suite training. Now it's called, I think, Google Workspace training, whatever it's called now, to go and get trained in every single product that Google offers for next to nothing online today, and to have extensions of superpowers. Like we're little kids and we see this superhero and they have access to all these crazy things that give them these superpowers to like see into the future and research the past and run complex calculations. It's like we all live in the Batcave, but no one thinks they live in the Batcave with access to any of these special tools and techniques because people are lazy. The number of people listening to this that have a G Suite certification and understand all of the tools and techniques that every single software that Google can provide, it's just de minimis and a little bit pathetic in a way that, if anyone out there's listening, let me shake you and wake you up and be like, to just tell you, you have superpowers at your fingertips that you are not accessing because you know what? You're busy. You're busy on Netflix because the new, Succession episode came out, right? Well, if you're watching Succession because the new Succession episode comes out, you're probably not going to be on the yacht that someone's doing a Netflix episode with you about, like Succession, right? It's kind of an endless loop, if you will.
Right. Oh, it's so well said. So it's our last day on Earth, and you and I are sharing our last meal. It's your choice. What are we eating and what are we drinking?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Probably a red wine from Colombia.
Okay.
And crepes, French crepes.
Wow. Is it like a dinner type crepe or is it like a dessert type crepe we're eating?
It doesn't matter. It could be
we can go
Nutella,
cover
banana. It could be crepes with, chicken, whatever it might be.
Nice.
So that's something I'm akin to.
Okay.
Be hard pressed to say there's no peanut butter involved because I also have a mild addiction to peanut butter. But
I do too. So, in our studio in Laguna Beach, we have a grand piano, drum set, and a bunch of electric guitars. If you're sitting in studio with me at the I Own It Studios, and we can bring in any band or musician, Mitch, they can be living or deceased. It's your choice. Who do we bring in, and what song are they playing us?
Wow, that's a big one. Living or deceased, who do we bring in and what song are they playing?
It's like an endless bucket of love, but I want to hear your answer.
That's crazy. That's really, really crazy. Do I get to bring my kids or is it just me?
Well, I mean, you got to pick a musician or band or a song. It doesn't matter who's in the studio. It's just a matter of who's coming in.
Who's coming in? Oh, that's tough. That's really, really tough. I mean, Taylor Swift is an unbelievable musician.
So would Taylor Swift be your choice?
I think it would, for this stage, this date and time, I would say
what is she?
Taylor Swift or Freddie Mercury, one of the two.
What would Taylor play for us?
Anything, right? Something acoustic.
All right, there you go.
Or Freddie Mercury playing Radio Gaga.
Oh, that'd be great. What's the best way for folks out there in the ether to follow you?
So I think, listen, if you have an event and you want to power your event with great software, please check out events.com. We'll be launching something in the future where you'll be able to find all of your events at events.com, kind of hotels.com style, Yelp style. Mm-hmm. You'll see some early iterations of that now. So we'd encourage you to check out events.com. If you've got an event and want to check out the software, sign up for a demo. Feel free to mention this podcast or my name when you reach out for a demo. And then also, one of the things, just personally, I have a website, mitchthrower.com. Our family office is lajollaholdingco.com. And so, there's methods to reach out to me through all of those channels. And it's been great. I love that I Own It as a title for what it is you're communicating, because there are so many people who don't own it. When you interact with the world, that's what you want, is you want people who own it.
There's no question. And it's something near and dear to my heart. So everyone out there, if you want to hear more episodes, just like the one we did with Mitch Thrower, drop kick that right-hand button and click subscribe on YouTube. Feel free to go to benreinberg.com to follow me on all social media platforms and learn how you can get involved as I start teaching commercial real estate around the world. Feel free to go to my company website, alliancecgc.com. We are the leaders in commercial real estate. We have a brand new fund called the Alliance Medical Property Fund. We are the leaders in owning medical office throughout the United States. Feel free to join us in our mission. You can invest passively and make a tremendous amount of money in medical and veterinary properties. There's no one's better than Alliance and all the folks.
Ben, a question on that. So
yes,
they're saying, and this is totally a question. So that's probably the most insulated part of the real estate world.
It's if you follow me online, medical office is the best number one asset class. We have the hottest fund in the market. It's selling out rapidly. Happy to really show it to you if you have an interest. It's on fire. Our headquarters are in Chicago. I sit in our West Coast office in Newport Beach, and it's pretty special. We have 200 plus years of leadership team, and we're growing and scaling. And I am extremely proud. I'm in the prime of my career in this industry. I am an icon and an expert in what we do. And I can't be more proud of the people that work at Alliance, and I'm excited for their future and just we have a wonderful group of talented people that are in all different departments and divisions throughout the country that we have. So great stuff. And Mitch, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on today. Hold on for 1 second and hang out. And everyone out there, go follow Mitch. Incredible athlete, businessman, family man, and just a real treat to talk to. So Mitch, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Ben. It's been great to be here, and good luck to everyone who's listening.
Thank you for listening to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg. To hear our past episodes and connect with Ben, visit benreinberg.com.